want to go back over the Michael Isikoff story because I somehow missed that last week. And it tells very much a similar story. And that the Boston Counterintelligence Unit, funded with millions of dollars in Homeland Security grants, was, of course, spending what appears to be its resources and its time monitoring Occupy Wall Street, tracking their Facebook pages, tracking their websites, their Twitter feeds, writing reports on the potential commercial and financial sector assets in downtown areas. I mean, this is essentially just a racket. And it's not necessarily a reflection of the people who are in these fusion centers. They're looking for a purpose. It is the same problem we have with what I have called the militarization of our police. Some people have taken issue with that, but when you dump tons of money and you make this available, people are going to use that. And now it appears to be that at least these fusion centers are functioning as the private security firms for corporations that want to protect their brands. I mean, that's basically it. We're seeing Homeland Security money spent on the brand protection of private corporations. And I have little doubt that we see this whether these protesters are protesting a corporate influence, whether these protesters are protesting the environmental policies of these companies, whether these protesters are protesting the foreign labor practices of these companies. There's no reason to doubt that this practice goes well beyond what Occupy was doing. And at the end of the day, this can be boiled down to simply, we are expending billions of dollars of taxpayer money to protect the brand integrity, the public relations for these corporate interests. And, I think to a certain extent, there is a failure, obviously, by the mainstream media to pick up on this story. And there's a failure, in some respects, by those reporting on these stories of Occupy to broaden this out, because the story is far greater than just the implications for Occupy, which is not to diminish the implications for Occupy. But if we are hearing literally weeks of stories about the IRS using an inappropriate filtering system to determine whose applications for tax-exempt status are going to receive more scrutiny, this story blows that story out of the water. The idea that this whole notion of our security state, and it harkens back to the story of Thomas Drake and those NSA whistleblowers who were blowing the whistle not just on an invasive screening by the NSA, but also the use of technology that was a boondoggle. And it was private technology that was brought in to supplant a pre-existing government-developed technology. It's the same thing. We are seeing corporations basically just gobble up all this national security money, these national security resources for their own purposes. It's hugely problematic. Isikoff went on to say the police monitoring of the activities of Occupy Boston came during a period after the U.S. government received the second of two warnings from the Russian government about the radical Islamic ties of the alleged Boston Marathon bomber Tamerlan Tsarnaev. The FBI officials have insisted that the intelligence about Tsarnaev was vague and uncorroborated, and that their own assessment at the time produced no derogatory, it's in quotes, information that justified opening a full-scale investigation. But internal police documents could raise fresh questions about the role of Homeland Security-funded fusion centers like the Boston Regional Intelligence Center, or BRIC, which conducted the monitoring. Apparently, they were obtained by a civil liberties group. There are 72 of these units around the country. And the executive director for Partnership for Civil Justice that obtained these documents said that they were monitoring completely lawful activities. She said the BRIC monitoring was an example of the vast expenditure of government money to collect intelligence on activities unrelated to terrorism in violation of First Amendment rights. The internal police documents about the activities of BRIC show that on September 30th, just 2 days after the second Russian warning about Tsarnaev was sent to the CIA, the police unit was focused on an upcoming Take Back Boston rally planned for the city's Dewey Square. It ended up involving 100 people, 100 to 700 people. Of course, nothing came of this. In one daily intelligence briefing dated October 21st, 2011, the Threat Management Division of Homeland Security's Federal Protective Service outlines a template for creating the daily intelligence brief for your region. Cites a list of events we want to request that officials submit for daily briefing information. Among the categories, in addition to reporting on domestic terrorist acts and significant criminal activity, is one called peaceful activist demonstrations. Commissioner Davis acknowledged to House committee that his department, which runs BRIC, was never, so it's the local police running the fusion center, was never provided any of the intelligence from the FBI and CIA that Tsarnaev had been twice flagged by the Russians as an Islamic radical with ties to underground groups in that country. I mean, if that does not make it there, what is the purpose for these fusion centers? And without a purpose, but millions of dollars in Homeland Security money, what else are they going to do? Boston police apparently had access to the database, to the classified database that would have flagged Tsarnaev. But his own officers, according to Davis, were never assigned to the task force, were never specifically alerted to the information about Tsarnaev. Okay, so in other words, you have these guys sitting in BRIC, one of these fusion centers. Instead of going through the database to see, hey, anybody in the Boston region, the New England region who's been flagged by a foreign government, let's say, as potential terrorists. Instead of doing that, these guys were spending their time spying on, monitoring Facebook pages, Twitter activities of the Occupy movement. In other words, for them, this was a bigger target because it was just, there was more demand for information about it from the private sector. Because they're sending out their warnings to the local banks, to the local hedge funds, that these guys may be marching on your building. I mean, these systems are broken, and it is unclear that they offer any value. Yet we're spending billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. So there's multiple aspects to the story, and it is shocking, just shocking, that there has been so little report. I mean, this is a 40-page story for the New Yorker. This is a 40-page story for Time magazine. Yet we see nothing of it. It really is stunning.